You want to go biceps like this, you got to make sure you're attacking these 5 points every bicep workout to get them to grow. To work biceps, there's really only one thing you can do, and that's curling. But there are 4 different angles you can attack your biceps from to really stimulate them to the max. So the first angle we want to talk about is working them from the stretch position. I'm going to show you 2 different variations you can do. So the first one is a cable stretch curl. So what we're doing here is if you're lucky enough to have one of these machines, a free motion machine at your gym, hands behind my back, so you can, or not hands behind my back, but hands stretched behind me, my elbows are behind my body, and I'm curling up. So my elbows stay there. They don't really come past my body. I'm working from that fully stretched position, we're flexing up. So again, that fully stretched position is what these elbows behind your body are good for. Fully stretched, curling up. So you have the option of doing these, and the next one I'm gonna show you. The next option you have on this one is good old incline cable or incline curl. So we're letting, same position, my elbows behind my body, fully stretch, curling up, fully stretch, curling up. So my elbows stay behind my body. So again, this angle is all about getting that fully stretched bicep position and curling up. So again, every workout, you want to make sure you pick at least one of those. There's probably other variations I'm missing, but those are my 2 favorites for working from that stretch position. Angle number 2, probably the most common angle, is elbows just right by your side. So this angle is good for using a little more weight and really pushing your biceps a little harder, because this angle is really hard to attack and use heavier weight from. This one is generally a little bit easier to use more weight on because your elbow is in a lot more stable position. So one variation we have is just a good old cable curl here. Everything's under control. I'm squeezing. My biceps are doing the work. Okay, we got the good old cable curl here. Elbows by my side. I'm gonna show you the other variation I like to do next. And then we got just good old classic bar curls. Okay, so I'm using the cabered bar here, meaning the curved bar, but just know that you can use the straight bar here as well. The straight bar just tends to hurt my wrist. So just to do the other variation I like to do for elbows by my side. Again, you can use a little more weight when your elbows are by your side. So that's a great variation to include in your bicep day. Angle number 3, just for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna call it the preacher curl angle. So this preacher curl is basically the only exercise I know that's gonna mimic or get this angle down. So we're just calling this the preacher curl angle. So we got good old classic preacher curl here. Make sure, well, this is an exercise people tend to butcher. So what I mean when I say that, they put too much weight and they tend to want to get up here and they want to do this. They don't let their arms all the way extending, curl it up. They want to tend to just rock, let their butt do all the work. So all I'm doing here, isolate my arms in that pad, squeeze it up. So my elbows are out in front of me. So that's why this angle is a little different than the previous 2, which was elbows behind and elbows even with my body. Now my arms are slightly out in front, the preacher curl angle. So we got this variation, another variation I like, which I'm gonna show you next. And then we just got the machine version of that preacher curl here too. So if you're lucky enough to have a machine preacher curl in your gym, this one's very smooth on the elbows too. So another key point I forgot to mention on these preacher curls, this one and the bar one we just showed you, make sure we don't overextend our elbow and let it come all the way here. Now, most exercises, yeah, you want full extension, but this one tends to, I'm sure you've seen videos of people, when you get here, it tends to put a lot of pressure on that bicep tendon and can lead to bicep ruptures and tears. So just make sure we're coming, we'll call it 80 to 90% of the way down and flexing up here. So this is the other variation I like on the preacher curl angle. Before we get into number 4 and 5, if you like this video so far and you want to know how to bring up other lagging body parts, subscribe to the channel. The 4th angle, the last angle, we're going to call elbows even with your head angle. So you can mimic that by doing the exercise I'm about to show you or the next exercise after this one. So this is kind of an old school, forgotten exercise I don't see a lot of people do anymore. And to be honest, it's not great for overloading your biceps because they're super isolated. What it is good for is either starting your workout or ending and just getting good peak bicep contraction. So again, we're not trying to overload with this exercise. This is more of a finisher or a starting exercise, either to get blood flow to that bicep and get a good mind-muscle connection, or to finish with a pump. So again, my elbows want to stay up high. We're calling this elbows even with your head angle. We're always changing our elbow angles on these biceps. All these different bicep exercises, we're changing our bicep angle. So I like this one, and I like the spider curls, which I'm gonna show you next. Then the other exercise I like for this elbows even with your head angle is the spider curl. So again, we're not using a ton of weight here. I don't even have any weight on this bar because I just did biceps and they're kind of fried. I wanna make sure my form is good, but lightweight, we're just focused on a good peak contraction. So again, this is a starting exercise or a finishing exercise on those biceps. Elbows even with the head, that's the angle here. Now that we've covered all 4 of the angles you need to hit every workout, I'm gonna give you a bonus tip before I get to the 5th and final tip. The bonus tip is train your arms individually at least one exercise, meaning instead of just doing a bar curl, a preacher curl, a cable curl, all the different angles you talked about, working both arms at the same time. Split your arms up in at least one exercise and work them individually, because you're always going to have one side of your body that's a little stronger. For me, my right side's a little stronger. That means my right side is always going to dominate an exercise where they're both working at the same time. So if you isolate them, you're going to give that weaker body part a chance to kind of keep up and catch up to the stronger side. So one of my favorite variations to do on a single arm step forward cable curl. So I'm stepping forward, elbows here. So it's slightly out in front, but it's mainly by my side. So I'm just squeezing right here. So this is just one way you can split up your arms and isolate them from each other. Just a good old single arm cable curl. Now again, you can also take it and work it from that stretch position here, or I'll show you with the left arm. You can work from that stretch position, that single arm, and you're also working that stretch position. You can also go back to that preacher curl that we did earlier, grab a dumbbell and do a one arm preacher curl. So you can take all the angles we just talked about and isolate them with one arm at a time. Fifth and final tip is don't neglect your brachialis, meaning when you have a big brachialis right here, it's gonna run smooth into that bicep and just get this your arm an overall bigger arm look. So what you wanna do here is pick one of these three I'm gonna show you. So I like these three variations to hit my brachialis. So we've got the good old rope curl, squeezing here. That's an important thing too with this brachialis, is you really want to make sure whatever exercise you pick, you're getting that squeeze at the top, and we're not just machine gun reps. You really want to squeeze where that bicep or that brachialis and come down. So I like the rope curl here. That's my first variation. Then we got the good old hammer curl again. Squeezing at the top, squeezing that brachialis at the top. We got the good old dumbbell hammer curl. Again, also like we talked about before this, you can take this one and isolate it side to side. The last one we got is the cable reverse curl. And again, you can also do this with a bar. I just like the constant tension this cable provides for my biceps and my brachialis. So those are the three variations I like to do to make sure I'm not neglecting this brachialis here and just giving that bicep and arm an overall bigger look. There you have it. That's all the tips you need to grow bigger biceps. You want to make sure we're picking one exercise from each of those angles. So pick one from each angle. You want to isolate each arm on at least one exercise. So pick one exercise each bicep day to isolate from the other side. And you also want to make sure you're not neglecting that brachialis. If you like this video, guys, and you found it helpful, subscribe to the channel. I got plenty more videos on how to bring up leg and body parts. And as always, stay swole.